Welcome students to this session on operations research. In this session, we will be discussing about the introduction to operations research. We will be discussing about the definition of operations research, the scope of operations research, where operations research is applied, the applications of OR, that is operations research, the phases in operations research study, characteristics, limitations, and the different types of models used in operations research. Is operations research an exclusive or a totally different domain or a function, or does it draw inputs from, say, other functional areas of management like human resource management, marketing, production, finance, etc. So basically, in operations research, we are using mathematical techniques or mathematical models to solve problems which help in decision making. Whenever there is a problem and we seek a solution to it, operations research makes use of certain scientific techniques. Makes use of scientific methodology on a quantitative basis, it is oriented mainly based on quantitative techniques to solve a particular problem. So basically the objective would be in operations research to get the best possible solution under the available conditions. So applying mathematical models or quantitative techniques, constructing a model, then aiming towards solving it, we arrive at a solution, and that solution should be the most beneficial one for the organization under the given circumstances. Let us now proceed and get familiar with some of the terms used in operations research. Now, what is operations research? Now, operations research is a quantitative approach and is described as a scientific method of providing executive departments with a quantitative basis for decisions regarding the operations under their control. This is the definition given by Morse and Kimball, and this is also very relevant to operations research. Operations research deals with quantitative approach. It makes use of numbers, it makes use of actual data in quantitative, which is quantitative in nature. That is, you can specify it, you can specify the numbers, you can use scientific methods to process, to give decisions. So operations research is a quantitative approach and is described as a scientific method of providing executive departments with a quantitative basis for decisions regarding the operations under their control. So you are, say for example, when you are stating an objective function of a particular problem, now whatever actual situation is, you have to first analyze, scan the environment, get the data from there, and first of all be clear about what the problem is. Now unless the problem is clearly understood or defined, you cannot start your, or you cannot implement your action plan for solving the problem. So the problem has to be understood. When do we say there is a problem? A problem occurs when what you have in mind and what actually is presently does not match. You have a different your plan was to do something in a particular way, and what has actually happened does not conform or match with what you had in mind, then you have a problem. Similarly, in organizations want something to be done in a particular way, and when things don't turn up in that particular way, there is a mismatch. What you have in mind and what has actually happened, a mismatch, then we say there is a problem there. Now, how to solve that problem? Now, for that, the problem has to be properly defined, and then OR is an approach which can be applied to that particular problem by some quantitative basis, with some quantitative basis, that is using a scientific method and applying it with a proper framework which is having a quantitative approach, quantitative data. So such a problem, whenever we apply operations research, please keep in mind the keywords here are the keywords are quantitative approach. OR is a quantitative approach, uses scientific method, and also a quantitative basis for decisions. So Morse and Kimball's definition of OR is a scientific method. OR is a scientific method of providing executive departments with a quantitative basis for decisions regarding the operations under their control. Similarly, an alternate, there are so many definitions of operations research or explanations. We will not list all of them. The second explanation of operations research is an application of scientific method by interdisciplinary teams. See, each one of these definitions gives you the characteristics of operations research. Here you have come to know now that OR is a quantitative approach. It uses scientific method, or scientific, what is science? Organized knowledge, step-by-step procedures. So scientific method, organized knowledge in step-by-step procedures. So that is scientific. Quantitative basis, you apply quantitative approach. And also in the second explanation here, it again emphasizes on this scientific method. OR is an application of scientific method. The word scientific method comes again here, by interdisciplinary teams, which means OR is not isolated. It also takes the help of other teams in the organization, other functional areas. Yes, OR may be an exclusive or different area or approach. OR is an approach, but it does take into account data from production, from marketing, say from purchase, from say the finance department, etc. Okay, so the second explanation is OR is an application of scientific method by interdisciplinary teams for the problems involving the control of organized systems, that is a man-machine systems, so as to provide solutions which best serves the purpose of an organization as a whole. For the organization, the OR team will gather input from all the other functional areas, and sometimes the problem may be ready-made given to the team, and the team applies the scientific methods especially to the problems which involve the control of organized system. Organized systems in present day organizations is man-machine systems. It is becoming almost machine systems now, but let us now say it's a man-machine system. Okay, man and machine. Man here refers to the human resource, human personnel involved, and machine, man-machine systems, so as to provide solutions. So it's operations research gives solutions to problems. The second explanation here tells you OR is a tool, or OR is an approach, or an OR is a particular method which gives you, applying OR operations research provides you solutions. Application of operations research provides you solutions for the organization as a whole. So this second explanation is given by Ackoff and Sassani. So the first one and the second one both give a clear-cut picture of what operations research is all about. This is about operations research as a the definition. You can take it as a definition or an explanation of what operations research is. What are the nature and characteristics of operations research? Let us see what are the nature and characteristics. And most of these have come from the definition itself. If you observe the terms which we are going to discuss now, most of them are already there in the previous slide where we discussed about the description or the when we discussed about the definitions of operations research, you got this word system, techniques, all these things have come in the definition also. So what are these nature and characteristics of OR? It's a system orientation. Now every organization has to take several decisions, and also when every decision, all decisions cannot be solved by a single entity. You have to take inputs from all others also. So every organization will have several divisions, different functional areas. So any activity or decision taken will affect the activities of other organization or other department rather. Within your organization, any decision that you take will affect the other department also, because you are all working as a team. Therefore, in OR study, before taking any decision, there has to be a process of identification of all the possible interactions and also the impact of these interactions on the organization as a whole. Your team or your department, other department. You should work as a system. What is a system? A system is a group of interrelated activities, each having a common objective. Common objective is to work as a team and grow. So when you take a decision, that decision, even though it's directly linked to, primarily linked to you, indirectly the consequence of the decision may affect other departments, which is again a part of your team. It's like a family. A decision which you take may be favorable to you, but may not be favorable to some other person in the family or in your organization. So your system orientation, you should be in tune. You should be in tune or in synchronization with all other departments in all other functional areas. So system orientation, make use of the system orientation or system concept. Next, use of interdisciplinary teams. Again, use all teams, all the functional areas. Don't be isolated. So one of the characteristics and nature of OR is system orientation. Second one is the use of interdisciplinary teams. Take inputs from others. Similarly, give and take, share, because you're all part of the same bigger entity called the organization, right? Next, application of scientific method. Again and again, this word scientific method will be discussed again and again in OR. Now in OR, whenever there is a problem, there is a chance of a particular problem or a particular decision. When you take, there may be different alternatives to a particular situation. There may be different choices which you need to take. Now how do you evaluate these choices? All the choices cannot be taken. So are there any techniques to find out which is the one best choice amongst all these available choices or alternatives? In that case, you will be using some scientific methods or scientific techniques in OR. So a very important characteristic or nature of OR is application of scientific method. As we go along in the subsequent sessions, you will understand different types of techniques will be used to encounter different types of problems. You will come to know one by one when we go into the subsequent sessions. Next, uncovering new problems. Again, the solution of an OR problem may uncover a number of new problems. That is possible. One problem, yes, you have solved it, but that may lead to some other problem, a new problem, something new. So it is a continuous process. It's a continuous. Your objective should be continuous improvement. Don't get satisfied if you just solve a problem now and sit quietly. Just see whether there are some other problems that have given birth because of the present problem under consideration. It is possible. So uncovering new problems and solving it and applying. Again, this process will continue. Though there will change. Always there should be continuous improvement in a particular problem solving scenario or an environment. You should not stop at a particular point of time and say that yes, no more problems exist, we are problem free. No, that will never be, that will never happen. There will be new problems arising, so you should be ready to tackle those problems. Improvement in the quality of decisions and solutions. Of course, nature and character. One of the characteristics of OR is improvement. Improvement in the sense how, probably in terms of say a faster execution. Everyone wants work to be done faster to save time, especially in today's world. Time is precious, without compromising on quality. Without compromising on quality. Similarly, at lesser cost, or more output in the same time. Same time you work, but more output. Again, quality should not be compromised. Use of computer, yes, lot of softwares are available. So computer to solve complex mathematical models. So for simple problems, yes, manually we can do. Analytically or arithmetic methods are there. But for complex problems, so organizations will involve thousands of variables, hundreds of variables, thousands of variables sometimes. Not possible to do manually or through analytical method. So computer is a must. Quantitative solutions. Again, if profit to a company is say rupees X, then decision A. If you say decision A is taken, for example, two alternatives are there. Application of scientific method. If I select alternative A, I get X amount. If I select alternative B, I will get amount Y. Correct? So this should be known. So that is a quantitative. You should know very specific about how much you are going to gain. For example, if I take alternative A and choose alternative A, this is what I am going to get out of it. Similarly, if I choose alternative B, this is what I get. Clear cut quantity. In terms of some quantity, you should know the outcome. Correct. It's not only qualitative. Qualitative OR doesn't focus purely on qualitative things, only on quantitative solutions. So unless you have a quantitative number, suppose say a person who has scored 60 marks, we consider him in terms of, so he 60 is considered higher than 50, right? 60 is higher than 50. 60 marks is considered better than 50. Correct. Similarly, why, how do we say that? Because of those quantitative numbers, two numbers which we just discussed here. Similarly, if I take alternative A, if I get say 100 rupees as the total payoff, and similarly if I take alternative B, I get 50 rupees as payoff. Obviously I know, because of this quantitative assessment, A is better because I am getting 100 rupees, whereas B gives me 50 rupees, which is less than what I would have got from A. So A is a better solution. So that's the quantitative solution. That's how you look at the quantitative analysis. Human factors. Of course, one characteristic, we can say it's an advantage as well as a disadvantage sometimes. Human factors here. When I say human factors, while obtaining the quantitative solutions, we do not consider the human factors. Okay. So sometimes you have to have some concern for human factors also. Yes, to get an optimal solution, I should produce 100 units today. By work for 8 hours today and produce 100 units. But just imagine, so something happens, so some of the workers physically who have been very regular so far, because of some genuine reason, are not available on that particular day. Correct? And they ask for a leave, then you should be able to have an alternative solution for that. You cannot have a strict and a rigid rule there. Correct? Similarly, it is possible sometimes you may not be able to meet a particular target because of a genuine reason. Of course, there should be some plan B for that. But sometimes what happens is human factors, especially human motivational factors, health issues, etc., has to be considered. So that is not considered usually in OR. That could be a limitation, as well as sometimes you have the liberty to even include that. You have the liberty. It's up to the decision maker how much orientation, how much he or she is oriented towards this personal management or human relations. Okay, so these are some of the nature and characteristics. Let us see the different phases of OR. First step is to observe the problem environment. What is this environment? This environment is a framework within which the system has to achieve its objective or the goal. It may include the human resource, the machines, materials, etc. Scan the environment, get the data required. Then analyze and define the problem. Next step is to analyze and define the problem. Again, there will be a decision maker, the person who is in actual control of the operations under study. There will be objectives, the set of goals which are to be achieved, constraints and restrictions, the limitations or the limitations or the restrictions on the fulfillment of the objectives. So these are the constraints. These all will come under these two steps, the first step and the second step. First is the observation or the observing the problem environment, then analyzing and defining the problem. Then develop a model. Now before this developing a model, again, when you construct a quantitative model in OR, again after that you may have to now derive solution from the model. For that you may require to select some appropriate data input to derive solutions. Step 3 and step 4 may sometimes go parallel or sometimes may be different. So step 3, developing a model and selection of the appropriate data input. So these two will be now the different phases which have to be focused. More seriousness should be given here while developing a model. If the model itself is not developed properly, if the formulation of the model is not done properly, and also the data input selected are not appropriate, then your entire problem may not actually reflect what is reality. What you have done, what you have formulated, and what you are trying to achieve now, the problem that you are actually now addressing may not be the correct problem at all that actually exists. Okay, so all the steps are important, but special care should be taken while developing the model and selecting appropriate data inputs. Next, providing a solution and testing the reasonableness of the providing a solution and testing the reasonableness of the solution. So we have to now check the solution, whether this solution that you have got, because it's modeled on say mathematical equations, right? Now we have to now check whether the mathematical model developed accurately represents the reality, and also check the validity of the model under some other situations. It's possible that under different situations the same model may not work similarly. So while you provide a solution and while testing its reasonableness, you have to now see whether the validity of the model holds good for some other situation. Then comes the implementation part, implementation of the solution. So all this will go in a particular order, different steps or the different phases of OR. Different OR tools and techniques, we'll see linear programming, then game theory, decision theory, queuing theory, network analysis, dynamic programming, inventory models, simulation. Now, most of this will be covered in the subsequent videos. So each one, like linear programming here, linear programming again is a mathematical model. Linear programming models are mathematical models. Again, a particular case given to you, a problem that has been formulated from inputs from the environment is converted as an LPP model or a mathematical model to solve. Again, game theory involves competition. Again, quantitative techniques will be used there. Whenever there are two competitors, each one having a strategy, each one trying to outdo the other, game theory can be applied. Decision theory, different alternatives, which alternative to select based on the factors given or based on the data given. Queuing theory. Now, what is the arrival patterns and service patterns are given to you. Now, what is the best possible solution in terms of waiting time for the customer from the point of view of the service provider as well as from the point of view of the customer. Network analysis, especially very helpful in project management, CPM and PERT analysis. All these things we'll be discussing in the subsequent videos. So these are some of the tools and techniques used in operations research. Applications. In manufacturing, inventory control, production scheduling; in marketing, selection of the product mix, allocation of the advertising budgets; in purchasing, inventory management, that is economic order quantity, EOQ we call it as. So what is the optimum order quantity so that I can get the order as well as minimize the total inventory cost. So that is the decision we take here in purchasing in application. This is one of the applications of OR. Construction, network analysis, again PERT and CPM, facility planning, factory location and related decisions, transportation problems, etc. So here also there are say 3 suppliers and 3 destinations, and the data regarding the transportation cost from each of the suppliers to each of the customers is known. So the company now wants to know what is the best possible solution to this in terms of minimization of the total transportation costs. That can be done by the application of OR techniques. Accounting, assignment of audit teams, credit policy analysis. Agriculture, use of right mix of fertilizers for optimal yield. How much uh, quantity of fertilizer 1, how much quantity of fertilizer 2 to be used for the optimal yield in agriculture. Research and development, project scheduling problems, again see OR models, iconic models. Different types of models, different classifications of models, we will see one by one. First one is iconic model. Examples are globes and maps. Now these are the physical or pictorial representations of various visible features of the real system. The real system is represented with a small reduced scale. Correct? Globes and maps here represent the much more larger geographical areas, but they are now shown as globes and maps. The physical system is shown as globes and maps. So these are examples of iconic models. Schematic models, flow charts, step by step how to proceed, instructions given for a particular program in terms of a flow chart. Correct? How a particular thing has to be operated in the form of a flow chart. Schematic, scheme wise, one by one, slowly. If you go through the entire flow chart, you will understand how a particular operation has to be executed or how a particular program has to be executed, so on. So for example, a flow process chart which represents the order of various events to make a product step by step. These are schematic models. Symbolic models or mathematical models, which we will be using commonly in OR on your LPP formulations, etc. Mathematical models or symbolic models. These make use of the mathematical symbols like letters, numbers, etc. to represent the decision variables. Okay. For example, an equation representing kinetic energy, for example, or say a particular expression, mathematical expression to calculate a particular parameter. Okay, symbolic models or equations. LPP makes use of such mathematical models or symbolic models. Static model. It represents a system at a specified time and does not take into account the changes over a period of time. So this static model, it represents a system at a specific time. It does not take into account the changes over a period of time. So that's why it's called static, not dependent on say changing times. Okay, that's why it's called static. Example is an assignment problem. Dynamic model, again a model which is influenced by time. That is, it represents a situation when time, it is influenced by changing times. Dynamic programming. Dynamic programming is again OR tool which is dynamic in nature. Deterministic model. A transportation problem where the variables that are completely defined and outcomes are certain. You are very sure that the outcome for a particular alternative, which is very sure, well defined. If I take this course of action, I will get this payoff. If I go to a particular, I take this particular alternative, this is the uh, uh, outcome that I am going to get. A deterministic model. You know very well that if I transport 1 unit of my material from my factory 1 to customer 1, the transportation cost is rupees 10 per unit. It's very sure. Whether I transport 1 unit or 10 units, the transportation cost is known from factory 1 to market 1. It's 10 rupees per unit. 1 unit I transport 10 rupees. If I transport 100 units, 1 unit if I transport, it's 10 rupees. If I transport 100 units, 100 into 10, 1000 rupees will be my total transportation cost. Very sure about the outcome is certain here in deterministic model. In probabilistic model, again in game theory you will come to know, in probabilistic model your objectives, the objectives are defined, but your outcome or the output variables will take the form of the probability distribution. Your output variables will take the form of probability distributions. That will be a probabilistic model. Game theory is the example. Descriptive models, pie charts, very clear. In a pie chart you can describe, in a descriptive model, pie diagrams, a pie chart, layout plans, which describe the salient features of their respective system. Correct? So these are a questionnaire, for example, or an observation or a survey, a result of a survey or a questionnaire. So the responses to a questionnaire, these are all descriptive models which describe something. Predictive model, something which predicting the election results based on survey, for example, or the course of action for a particular problem, or through behavior of a particular system, how it actually will behave in a particular condition. We can predict. Such a system is called a predictive model. One example is predicting the election results based on survey. You have this what you call as the exit polls. No, sometimes you have these exit polls. These are all type of predictive models. These are all types of predictive models. Let us see what are the characteristics of a good model. The first characteristic is the number of assumptions made to simplify the model should be as less as possible. Too much of assumptions, well, the distance between reality and the model will be wider. That means you want the actual your model, the constructed model, to be as close as to the reality. That is, your constructed model should be almost near to the reality. You don't want to be far apart. So lesser the assumptions, closer will be your reality and the model, which is what you want. So number of assumptions made to simplify the model should be as less as possible. More the assumptions, more distance between reality and the model. So the number of assumptions made to simplify the model should be as less as possible. The model should be simple and close to reality. It should be easy and economical to construct. The number of variables used should be as less as possible. Try to have less number of variables as possible. Too many variables, too many confusion. And your final also when you include lot of variables, the process also becomes complex, time consuming. So try to have the number of variables used should be as less as possible. So these are some of the characteristics of a good model. And also it should be adaptive to the parametric type of testing. These good models should be adaptable to the parametric type of treatment. So it should be adaptable to parametric type of treatment. Now, in spite of all this, there are still some limitations of OR. Some of them are, see, all situations cannot be modeled as you cannot, every real problem cannot be shown as a mathematical model. Sometimes it's impossible, or sometimes very difficult. So all situations cannot be converted into mathematical models, and also mathematical models are replicable only for specific categories of the problem. Okay? And similarly, uh, a non-linear relationship changed to linear for just solving the problem may not give you the right solution, may not give you the reliability of the solution, may hamper or may get affected. And also this human relationships approach is sometimes neglected here, so which may not be the right way of looking at it. So as we said, human factors, so less emphasis on human factors. Everything is so scientific that human relationships is ignored sometimes. So that is some, these are some of the limitations. However, the advantages of OR can be utilized to take optimal decisions in organizations, especially when you want to minimize the costs and maximize the profits. So these are some of the uh, terms, these are some of the topics that you should understand in this first session of introduction to operations research. So taking these points into consideration, whatever we have discussed in this particular video, we will be now moving on to the next video, which is about LPP, linear programming problems, how to formulate, how formulation of LPP is done. So that will be the topic for the next session. Thank you.